Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the really fascinating psychology behind why Valentine's Day causes so much intense stress for so many of us, and we'll contrast that with the actual proven science of what makes relationships thrive.
Here is how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the Valentine's Day panic, move into the problem with forced romance, then explore the performance of love, dive into the science of social pain, and finish up with building everyday connection. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1. The Valentine's Day Panic, the February 13th Crisis.
Isn't it totally wild how on February 13th, every single year, absolute panic just seems to set in? And I'm not talking about a casual, oh shoot, I should probably grab some flowers. No, it's that sudden existential crisis. It feels exactly like remembering you left the stove on 3 years ago. You get this intense, sudden fear that your entire relationship is just going to go up in flames simply because you didn't secure some fancy reservation at that French place with a hard-to-pronounce name.
But that brings us to a really crucial question. Does forcing romance actually ruin it? Because, as we're going to see, the people with the absolute healthiest, longest-lasting relationships usually don't lose a single second of sleep over Valentine's Day. And the psychology behind exactly why they aren't stressed reveals something pretty profound about how human connection actually works.
Moving on to Section 2. The problem with forced romance, the cost of obligation.
What is so interesting here is the behavioral comparison. Studies actually show that when we feel pressure to be romantic on prescribed dates, like Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve, it genuinely leads to a decline in relationship satisfaction. Researchers call these prescribed relationship behaviors. Essentially, your brain is incredibly smart. It can completely identify the difference between I'm doing this because society says I absolutely have to versus when you're doing something out of a genuine, spontaneous desire. Obligation literally sucks the romance right out of the room.
And this brilliantly illustrates why putting all your relationship energy into one single day is just a totally flawed strategy. Think about it. It's exactly like going to the gym once a year on January 1st and expecting to get totally ripped. Your relationship muscles just don't work that way. When you funnel all your romantic energy into one 24-hour period, you end up essentially signaling that the other 364 days just don't matter quite as much. So let's peel back another layer in Section 3, the performance of love, spectacle versus substance. When we fixate on Valentine's Day as this ultimate test of affection, we're actually buying into what psychologists call symbolic self-completion theory. Basically, this means that when we feel insecure about something, like, say, whether we're a good partner or if our relationship is truly solid, we try to compensate by engaging in these big symbolic behaviors to prove our commitment. The bigger the gesture, the less we have to worry about the actual daily reality of our relationship. It's so much like posting this long, glowing Instagram caption about your amazing partner on their birthday, while totally ignoring them the rest of the year. The performance of love suddenly becomes way more important than the love itself. And this pressure is dramatically magnified by social media and social comparison theory, which was first described by Leon Festinger back in 1954. Human beings are just wired to evaluate themselves by comparing their situation to others. So when Valentine's Day rolls around, your subconscious is bombarded by everyone else's highlight reels. The elaborate dates, the surprise getaways, the expensive gifts. You're no longer just managing your own expectations. You are suddenly making these subconscious comparisons and wondering, wait, is my relationship actually good enough?
Logically, you absolutely know that nobody posts about the boring Tuesday nights sitting in silence together on the couch. But ironically, that is exactly where true intimacy actually lives. Yet, we still fall into the trap of prioritizing spectacle instead of substance. We focus on the enormous production. It's literally like buying the biggest, most visually stunning, expensive birthday cake you can find, but completely forgetting to get the actual flavor your partner likes to eat. Now, we also need to address the psychological minefield of being single on Valentine's Day. That brings us to Section 4, the science of social pain, the single experience. The crucial point here is that when the entire world seems to be celebrating romantic love, feeling left out isn't just a minor bummer. It's so much more than that. Neuroscientists have identified a real phenomenon called social pain. They've found that being excluded or feeling left out activates the exact same brain regions as physical pain. Let that sink in. If you're single on Valentine's Day and feeling down, that feeling of suffering is a very literal neurological reality. However, here is what is truly wild about that. That pain isn't inherent to being alone. It's an entirely manufactured cultural expectation. You aren't suffering because you're actually alone. You are suffering because you feel like you are supposed to be celebrating something you don't currently have. If you were to just remove that collective cultural agreement, suddenly February 14th just becomes another regular old Thursday.
Finally, let's look at the actionable science in Section 5, Building Everyday Connection, Building Lasting Love. This brings us to the core concept of relationship maintenance. Decades of research by psychologists John Gottman and Robert Levinson revealed something just profound. They found that couples who actually thrive and stay together for the long haul, they don't rely on grand, sweeping romantic gestures. Instead, their success is built entirely on relationship maintenance, which are the small, consistent, daily actions couples take to keep their partnerships healthy. Gottman identified that the real key to lasting love is something he called bids for connection. These are tiny, everyday moments where one partner reaches out and the other responds. Rather than saving up all your romantic energy for a few special occasions a year, successful couples are just consistently engaging in these micro interactions. So, what does this look like in real life? Honestly, these bids look incredibly mundane. We're talking about making coffee exactly the way they like it, actively listening to them rant about that annoying coworker for the 100th time, or just noticing when they seem a little bit off and taking the time to ask about it. Doing these little things regularly is what truly sustains intimacy when no one is around to watch and there are zero social media points to be scored. Furthermore, Eli Finkel's self-expansion theory proves that couples who engage in novel, shared experiences report much higher relationship satisfaction. But importantly, those shared memories do not need to be an extravagant meal or a wildly expensive vacation. Simply tackling a completely new recipe together in your kitchen or walking a brand new route in your neighborhood provides the exact novelty that human relationships crave. The shared novelty itself is what matters, not the price tag or the Instagrammability. Adding to all of this, psychology professor Sarah Algo found incredible results regarding the power of authentic gratitude. When partners regularly show appreciation spontaneously, not because a calendar told them to, but genuinely out of the blue, it greatly benefits both individuals. It proves that true devotion happens when you are exhausted after a long day, when it's totally inconvenient, and when you show genuine recognition of the other person. That right there is the true substance of love. To wrap up our explainer today, I really want to leave you with this provocative thought to remember the next time you feel that February pressure creeping in. If your relationship exclusively feels special on Valentine's Day, it's likely not that special. It's just scheduled. Real love is proven on unremarkable Tuesday afternoons, for sure, not just on scheduled holidays. So, as we walk away from the psychology of connection today, ask yourself, what is one small, completely mundane bid for connection you can make right now, today, to build a love that doesn't need a holiday to survive?